The court is back in session on this hearing after an inquiry off outside of the public. Based on the results of that hearing, the court is going to find that Mr. McCreary is indigent. Based on the finding of indigency, the court costs, in this case, of $327 will be waived pursuant to Article 42.15 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. And then what that means, Mr. McCreary, is that you will not be required to pay the court cost of $327 because the court had found that you're indigent. And so the court cost is waived pursuant to Article 42.15 Texas Code of Criminal Procedure. Now, Mr. McCreary, do you understand the state's offer and the court's finding?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Mr. McCreary, the court will, now do you think that is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the court's findings and the state's offer?
You say, do I accept the court findings?
Yeah, do you accept the findings that the court has found?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer of 75 days in jail and you'll be given credit for any time that you're entitled to get by law?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the court is going to follow the plea bargaining agreement with the court's finding. This will conclude your case, Mr. McCreary. Please knock on the door, follow the bailiff. Well, Mr. McCreary, before you leave, I have one other matter, and pursuant to the Texas Administrative Code, Section 176.1, the court hereby admonishes you of the following. Number one, you are by entry or order or judgment ineligible under Texas law to possess a firearm or ammunition. Number two, beginning now, if you possess a firearm or ammunition, it could lead to charges against you. If you have questions about how long you will be ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, you should consult an attorney. Number three, under Texas Penal Code Section 46.013A, firearms mean any device designed, made, or adapted to expel a projectile through a barrel by using the energy generated by an explosion or burning substance, or any device readily convertible to that use. B, firearm does not include a firearm that may have as an integral part a folding knife blade or other characteristics of weapons made illegal by Penal Code Chapter 46, and that is one, an antique or carrier firearm manufactured before 1899, or two, a replica of an antique or carrier firearm manufactured before 1899, but only if the replica does not use rimfire or centerfire ammunition. The statutes listed below are a starting point for ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition. For more information about the laws that make you ineligible to possess a firearm or ammunition, or for more information on how long your ineligibility to possess a firearm or ammunition lasts, the court recommends you contact an attorney. Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 17.292, Magistrate's Orders for Emergency Protection. Code of Criminal Procedure, Article 42.0131, Notice for persons convicted of misdemeanors involving family violence. Penal Code Section 46.02, unlawful carrying weapons. Penal Code Section 46.04, unlawful possession of firearm. Penal Code Section 25.07, violation of court orders, violation of certain court orders for or conditions of bond in a family violence, child abuse or neglect, sexual assault or abuse, indecent assault, stalking or trafficking case. Family Code Section 85.026, warning on protective orders. Now, Mr. McCreary, you should be given a copy of this ammunition at the jail. This will conclude your case. Please follow the bailiff, and you have a blessed day. Last one. Oh. Darnell Johnson.
Johnson.
Okay.
That's him. Yeah. Go ahead.
Jefferson County Court at law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session in 3 cases. The cases are cause number 333-774, cause number 333-776, and cause number 334-274. 2. All 3 cases are styled as State of Texas versus Darnell LaShawn Johnson. Mr. Johnson, is that your full name?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, would you please raise your right hand? Mr. Johnson, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Sure, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Okay, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Mr. Johnson?
No content, sir.
Are you doing all right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Johnson, I have before me in cause number 333776, a document that is titled information. In this information, it alleges that on or about October 31st of 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of resisting arrest, search, transportation. Mr. Johnson, do you understand what you have been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Johnson, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No content, sir.
Now, you pleading no contest freely and voluntarily?
Freely, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges?
Do not wish to fight or contest the charges, sir.
And now, Mr. Adams, are you waiving a record in Mr. Johnson's cases?
Yes, sir. I'm waiving the record.
And Mr. Johnson, I also have before me on this tablet that's titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishment. And I'll show this document to you in a second. Now, Mr. Johnson, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, there's a signature on the line that is titled Nola Contendere, which means no contest. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
On page 3 of the same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Is this also your signature?
Yes, sir.
On the next document that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on this document?
Yes, sir.
At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that are checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Is this, do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, did you also sign a document out there on paper that is titled Discovery Certification? Did your attorney give you a document on paper that's titled Discovery Certification? Did you sign that document?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Johnson, before you signed and initialed all of these documents that I have just mentioned to you, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything that he went over?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
State, well, before I get to that, Mr. Johnson, are you a citizen of the United States?
Yes, sir. Citizen of the United States, sir.
Right. State, I have before me State's Exhibits number 1 and State's Exhibit number 2, the proper cause affidavit. State, you like to offer State's Exhibits 1 and 2?
Yes, Your Honor. State offer States 1 and States 2.
Any objections, Mr. Adams?
No objections.
No objections. State's Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. And the court will also take judicial notice to State's Exhibit number 2, which is in the court's file. Mr. Adams, you've advised in counsel, Mr. Johnson. Is there any evidence that he is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
None.
And Mr. Johnson, your attorney, Mr. Adams, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, I will accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. and I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, in exchange for the defendant's plea of no contest in this case, the state is recommending confinement in the Jefferson County Jail for a period of 30 days, Your Honor. We're asking that the defendant be given credit for the 30 days he has already spent in jail, making this a time-served plea agreement, Your Honor. In conjunction with this plea agreement, this case is to run concurrent with companion case number 334272. And also, Your Honor, in conjunction with this plea agreement, the state has moved to dismiss case number 333774.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, the state is offering that you serve 30 days in the Jefferson County Jail for this case, but you will not be required to serve any more time in jail on this case because you have already served 30 days in the Jefferson County Jail. Therefore, you'll be given credit for the time that you have already served. The court cost in this case, Mr. Johnson, is $327, but you will not be required to pay the $327 court cost because the time that you have spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court cost will be taxed and retired. Now, Mr. Johnson, this case will run concurrent with cause number 334272, and the state will be dismissing cause number 333774. Mr. Johnson, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
And do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Johnson, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Johnson, we will move on to your next case. Your next case, Mr. Johnson, is cause number 334272. And I have before me a document that is titled information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, Mr. Johnson, it alleges that you, Darnell LaShawn Johnson, on or about January 2nd of 2023, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of resisting arrest, search, transportation. Mr. Johnson, do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Mr. Johnson, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest, sir.
Now, you pleaded no contest freely and voluntarily?
Freely, sir.
And are you pleading no contest because you do not wish to fight or contest the charges? And are you pleading? You don't wish to fight? Okay. Now, Mr. Johnson, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. It is also labeled as State's Exhibit Number 1. I'll show you this document. Mr. Johnson, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
Okay, on page 2 of the same document, there are a set of initials on the line next to the box that's checked NOLA content rate. Are these your initials?
I can't see right. Yes, sir.
Okay. And on page 3 of this same document, there's a signature above the line that is titled Defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document is titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled Defendant?
Yes, sir.
At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
The second box that's checked states that you are waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
And now, Mr. Johnson,
Yes,
did you
sir.
also sign a document out there on paper that is titled Discovery Certification in this case?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Johnson, before you sign and initial all of these documents that I've just shown you, did your attorney, Mr. Adams, go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything that he went over?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Ms. State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, you like to offer State's 1?
Yes, Your Honor. State offer States 1.
Any objections, Mr. Adams?
No objections.
And also offer State's number 2? Proper
Yes,
cause.
Your Honor. State offer States 2 as well.
Any objections, Mr. Adams?
No objections.
No objection. States Exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted. Mr. Adams, you advised and counsel Mr. Johnson in this case as well. Is there any evidence that he's currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, he's fine.
And Mr. Adams, your attorney, Mr. Johnson, your attorney, Mr. Adams has advised and counseled you in this case. Are you satisfied with his representation in this case? Mr. Johnson, are you satisfied with your attorney representation in this case?
Yes, sir.
Has he provided fully effective and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, I'll accept your plea of no contest. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I'll also find that your plea and waivers was freely and voluntarily given. I also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement in this case?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
Your Honor, in exchange for the defendant's plea of no contest in this case, the state is recommending confinement in the Jefferson County Jail for a period of 30 days. Your Honor, we're asking that the defendant be given credit for the 30 days he has already spent in jail, making this a time-served plea agreement. Your Honor, and in connection with this plea agreement, the state has moved to dismiss cause number 333774. Your Honor, and lastly, this case is to run concurrent with case number 333776.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, the state is offering that you serve 30 days in Jefferson County Jail. You would not have to serve any more time in Jefferson County Jail on this case because you've already served 30 days in Jefferson County Jail. Therefore, you'll be given credit for the time that you've already served. The court cost in this case is $327, but you will not be required to pay the $327 court cost because the time that you have spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court cost will be taxed and retired. This case will run concurrent with cause number 333776, and the state will be dismissing the companion case of 333774. Mr. Johnson, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? Do you think that the state's offer is fair and just?
Yeah, I think it's very fair.
And do you accept the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. Mr. Johnson, this will conclude your case. If you do not have anything else holding you in jail, you should be getting out of jail today. Mr. Johnson, please knock on the door, follow the bailiff, and you have a blessed day.